North Carolina State University is a beautiful, unique, and green space. Our campus environment is diverse, yet all interconnected by the never-ending brick. Those with keen eyes may even be able to tell the differences in brick from the older parts of campus to the newer spaces. We have towering oak trees, expansive fields, water features, and magical pocket gardens. We are also situated at the heart and capital of North Carolina, as we're fashioned right beside the cityscape of Raleigh. But how did we get here? We begin with a land acknowledgement. North Carolina State University is a land-grant institution, which means it was established as a result of the Morril Act of 1862, enacted by President Lincoln. This act allotted lands in the western United States to each state, so the state could then sell the western lands for land located within the state territory. The land was dedicated to the land-grant institution. The purpose of these institutions were to serve as spaces to learn and advance in scientific knowledge, which then could be disseminated to the surrounding community and applied to society practically. The original focus was on land and agriculture. What we have failed to greatly acknowledge, recognize, and pay homage to are the indigenous people who have been caretakers of the land for centuries. We must acknowledge how we have come to where we are now and the impacts our past actions have made. In order to innovate and move towards an equitable future, we must recognize and respect the history that has led to where we are now, regardless of its beauty or the lack thereof. NC State University opened in 1889 and received a total of 269,817 acres of land as a result of the Morril Act. Much of the western lands North Carolina received is land located in what is now considered as Southern California. The western indigenous peoples displaced include but are not limited to the Yawilchin Nation, the Wollasee Nation, and the Waxahchie Nation, located primarily in California. The land the university is situated on now was stewarded by the Catawba and the Tuscarora nations. Humans have been learning from the land since the beginning of time. We have evolved from nature and have built civilizations by learning more about and gaining a deeper relationship with nature. The Tuscarora people are people of the hemp. Catawba means people of the river. Take, for example, echinacea, or also known as coneflower. This plant has been used by indigenous North Americans for centuries and is greatly entwined in the culture. Echinacea is a native wildflower to North America. Its roots have been used in traditional medicine for its inflammatory properties from the East Coast to the Great Western Plains. Coneflower has also been utilized in traditional rituals during sweat lodge ceremonies and the sun dance. It is considered one of the sacred life medicines of the Navajo tribe. Due to its traditional medicinal properties, echinacea has been the subject of many biochemical and nutritional research studies. Looking more closely at our university's history, we are an institution that was created with the intention to explore, examine, and innovate with nature. As a land-grant university, in-depth study and research is conducted in various disciplines, which can then be shared as practical knowledge for the outward community. Here, we see beekeepers on campus in the early 1900s. NC State happens to have the largest beekeeping association in the United States. The mission of the association is to promote the honeybee to the public at beekeeping schools, county fairs, festivals, and special events. Bees are a crucial component of our pollinator population. Pollinators are vital to our food supply, yet our increasing urbanization and the practices that accompany it have been accelerating pollinator decline. NC State is ranked number 5 worldwide for our entomology program. When we examine the use of our land in relation to our societal activities, we are able to gain a sense of our societal priorities. When NC State was first established, it was primarily farmland. Students interacted directly with the land in their studies every day. Today is the same, yet different. Today, our cultural practices as a university still revolve around agriculture and working with the land. Here we can see students milking a cow on the brickyard, definitely not a farm environment. Our extension services and work with 4-H programs over the years have emphasized the importance of conservation. But what does it mean to conserve? The 1963 to 1964 4-H Conservation Leaders Guides publication states, "There are those who believe that conservation is strictly a hands-off policy. Don't touch, don't use. This is wasteful. Actually, conservation is hard to define. It is a state of mind, an insight into nature, and the recognition that man is a part of nature with responsibility for its welfare. In practice, conservation may be defined as wisely managing our resources to the greatest benefit for the most people for the longest possible time. It can also be considered as leaving our earth richer and more productive than we found it." Due to our technological advancements, urbanization, and our campus being located in the capital city of our state, our built environment has changed drastically. Now we see more development: buildings, brick, pavement. Most of our interactions with the land happens during lab time, where we must travel elsewhere on university land to access the farm on Wakeler Road. But what about the general campus population? Our campus does not only cater to agriculture scientists. However, our mission as a land grant still holds true. We must encourage and promote land stewardship to each individual and our mainstream practices. The present concern is if our community members blatantly recognize we continue to live in nature, beyond the concrete jungle. We take time to go out to nature by going to a park to hike and enjoy the scenery. But aren't we always in nature? Does our built environment encourage and foster a relationship with nature? Acknowledgement is the first step. Then we must reflect and examine. We must ask ourselves, how can we innovate, reimagine, and act to support our environment's health? How does our land use reflect upon our priorities as a society? Does it shed light upon our priorities of food and agriculture? What types of food do we prioritize as a nation? National change begins locally. Let us reflect upon our current landscapes. In front of Kilgore Hall, our horticulture building, there is a thoughtfully designed and functional display present. There are rain gardens, spiraling walkways, intentionally chosen native and non-native vegetation, beneficial for pollinators, as well as spaces to spend time and reflect. There's even a strawberry patch. You can visually see the richness of the soil, amended by the compost produced on campus. These small environmental changes have great impacts on the minds of our campus community. Perhaps it sparks creativity, critical thinking, and curiosity about our natural world. We are training the next leaders of the future. How do we share the pleasures and importance of nature? How can we reimagine our societies to live with rather than apart from nature? In our present society, we are so removed from our food. Our food is procured in faraway places, processed, then transported to magical markets of abundance, or even right to our plates. It leaves little time and substance for sparking curiosity. The simple experience of observation has a radiating effect. This makes me question our choice of landscaping around our food science building, Schaub Hall. We emphasize the procurement of dairy with our cows and delicious ice cream through our dairy enterprise, Howling Cow. Visually, you immediately see the food science building associated with dairy. But what about fruits and vegetables? How do we emphasize foods for well-being in our built environments? Does our design of the built environment surrounding the next leaders of the food industry parallel to our nation priorities of agriculture and agribusiness? Our campus has the capacity to optimize our land use, and we are already doing it. I urge you to imagine you are walking along the brick to your next class. The sky is blue and the sun is shining. You hear the birds. Along your walk, you pass strawberry patches, cherry trees. Perhaps you see for the first time how Brussels sprouts are grown. Your curiosity is sparked. Perhaps you pass a patch of herbs and you respectfully pluck a twig of rosemary. The scent of the rosemary lingers on your fingers, and you smell its sweet scent. These items I have mentioned can be easily incorporated into our landscapes, and most have already been. Did you know that we have an orchard of apricots on the brickyard? We have these features already: the edible gardens, pollinator patches, rain gardens, intentional sustainable designs that work with nature. Yet, much more can be done. As we reflect upon the campus surroundings in the early 1900s, we see the campus was immersed in the land. Though land use and population size have drastically changed, we must continue to keep nature in our daily interactions and promote sustainable practices into our mainstream culture. The land holds many histories. The land is the backbone of human civilization. All peoples come from the land. It is a place to connect our community. It is a place of nourishment and love. As we move towards an equitable future, we must recognize the histories associated with the land. We must recognize our place, our ecosystems, and our role we play as innovators for a sustainable, prosperous future.